Limits of absolute function. I'm Anil Kumar, and in this video we will understand what are the limits of absolute function. But before going there, we'll kind of sketch it so that we get overall picture, and then it'll be easier for us to understand the limits. Given here, the function f of x equals to absolute value of 2x minus 4 divided by x minus 2. Write this function as a piecewise function. We'll even graph it here. Determine limit of f of x as x approaches 2 from the right side. Determine limit of the function f of x as x approaches 2 from the left side, 2 minus. Determine the limit of the function as x approaches 2. So let me first factor the numerator and rewrite this as, we can factor out 2. So we get x minus 2 divided by x minus 2. Remember, denominator cannot be 0, so it does have a restriction, that is x is not equal to 2, right? So that is kind of a very important restriction which we should follow. Now, as you know, absolute function can be written as a combination of piecewise function. So we will write, which is also part 1 of this question, write this function as a piecewise function. Now, if x minus 2 is a positive value, then it remains as x minus 2. But if x minus 2 is a negative value, since absolute value should always be positive, we always take negative of that value, correct? So what is the point at which x minus 2 becomes positive or negative? The point is x equals to 2. If x is greater than 2, then x minus 2 will be positive. If x is less than 2, then x minus 2 will be negative. And therefore, we can write this function as 2 times x minus 2, the positive value, divided by x minus 2 if x is greater than 2, correct? Then this will be positive. But if x is less than 2, then what happens? X minus 2 will become negative, right? So I cannot write this as x minus 2 over x minus 2. If x is less than 2, in that case, numerator, the absolute value will become negative. But absolute value should always be positive, and therefore we always take this as negative of that. So that is one reason, right? So that is how we should write our absolute function as a piecewise function. Important thing to note here is that I'm not making it equal to on either side, since that is a restriction. Denominator cannot be equal to 2. Now let's simplify this. So if I simplify this, what do I get? X minus 2 cancel out, indicates a whole at x equals to 2, right? So we get this function as equals to 2 if x is greater than 2, and minus 2 if x is less than 2, correct? So that is how this function is. Now it is easy to sketch it. So let's sketch it now. So let us say that is a y-axis, this is x-axis, and this is the point where x is 2. Let us say this is the point where x is 2. Now, if we are on the right side of 2, that means when x is greater than 2, then the value of the function is positive 2. It's kind of like this. Do you understand? Where this value is 2 for us. However, if we are on the, let us say draw it like this, okay? On the left side, that means when x is less than 2, in that case it is minus 2. It is like this. Is it okay? A constant value of minus 2. So that is how our function f of x is, right? At 2, it is not defined. We have a hole at 2. So you should clearly mark that hole, right? That is the restriction on the function. Now let us answer the questions. So the first one here is, determine the limit of this function when x is 2 plus. That means approaching to x value of 2 from the right side. So when you approach from the right side, which value do you approach? You approach plus 2. So this answer is plus 2. Part C is, determine limit of the function f of x as x approaches 2 minus. That is from the left side. Minus means approaching from the left side. So if you approach from the left side, then you are approaching a value of minus 2, correct? That is the value you are approaching. Now the question is, determine the limit of this function as x approaches 2. Now since we approach 2 from left side and right side to different values, as these two values are not the same, they're different, right? So this does not exist, right? So the reason is since these two are not the same, right? So it is a good idea to give the reason here. Since limit of x approaching 2 from positive side is not equal to limit of x approaching function from the negative side. Since they're different, limit does not exist, right? So that is how you should answer the question. I hope that's absolutely clear. Thank you and all the best.